If you've ever wondered why you keep craving sugar, no matter how many times you try to stop, it's not your fault. It was engineered that way, and the proof has been sitting in hidden industry documents since 1965. And this video is about bringing it back to the surface. In 1972, a British scientist named John Yudkin published a book that could have changed the world. It was called Pure, White and Deadly. In it, he warned that sugar, not fat, was the real cause of heart disease, obesity, and chronic illness. He had the research, he had the data, he had the science, and then he was destroyed. The sugar industry paid scientists to discredit him, funded studies that blamed fat instead, buried his work for decades, and the entire Western world changed its diet based on a lie. That was 50 years ago, and we are still living with the consequences today. Before 1900, sugar was a luxury. The average person consumed maybe 4 to 5 pounds of sugar per year. It was expensive, it was rare, it was used sparingly, and chronic illness, obesity, type 2 diabetes, they were rare too. Not because medicine was better, because sugar wasn't everywhere. Then industrialization made sugar cheap. Food companies discovered it made everything taste better, and addictive. By 1970, consumption had risen to 120 pounds per person per year. Today, it's closer to 150 pounds. That's roughly 6 cups of sugar every single day. And your body, which evolved over hundreds of thousands of years on almost no sugar at all, has no idea what to do with it. Here's something the cereal commercials never told you. Sugar activates the same reward pathway in your brain that highly addictive substances do. The same pathway. And the research backs it up. A 2007 study at the University of Bordeaux found that in rats given the choice between sugar water and highly addictive substances, the majority chose sugar, every time. Because sugar triggers a dopamine release so powerful, your brain starts craving it the same way it craves any addictive substance. And here's where it gets darker. Over time, your brain adjusts to the dopamine hit. It needs more sugar to feel the same reward, so you eat more and more. And the crash that follows, that sudden drop in energy and mood, is your brain going through withdrawal every single day. This isn't weakness, this is chemistry, and it was engineered that way. Every time you eat something sugary, your blood glucose spikes. Your pancreas releases insulin to bring it back down. This is normal, the problem is frequency. Your ancestors might have eaten something sweet once or twice a week, a piece of fruit, some honey. Today, the average person spikes their blood sugar 10 to 15 times a day. Breakfast cereal, orange juice, coffee with 2 sugars, a snack, lunch with a soft drink, an afternoon biscuit. Each spike forces your pancreas to work harder. Over time, it struggles to keep up. Your cells start ignoring insulin's signal. Scientists call this insulin resistance, and it's the beginning of a chain reaction that leads to type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, and chronic fatigue. But here's what almost nobody talks about. Insulin resistance doesn't just affect your blood sugar, it directly damages your gut lining. The same gut lining we talked about in our last video, creating the exact inflammation and energy drain that makes you feel exhausted every single day. It all connects. Let's go back to John Yudkin, because what happened to him is one of the most consequential cover-ups in modern health history. In the 1950s and 60s, 2 scientists were competing to explain the rising rates of heart disease. John Yudkin said sugar was the cause. Ancel Keys said fat was the cause. Keys was louder, more aggressive, better funded, and he had the backing of the Sugar Research Foundation, a group funded by the sugar industry itself. They paid scientists to publish studies blaming fat. They got the American Heart Association to adopt the low-fat guidelines. They buried Yudkin's research, and for the next 50 years, the entire world ate low-fat food that was quietly loaded with sugar to make it taste good. In 2016, researchers at the University of California uncovered internal sugar industry documents from the 1960s. They proved beyond doubt that the industry had deliberately manipulated nutrition science. The New York Times ran the story. The damage had already been done. 50 years of wrong dietary advice. 50 years of skyrocketing obesity, diabetes, and chronic disease, all to protect profit. Remember leaky gut syndrome from our last video? Sugar is one of the primary causes. Here's what happens. Your gut contains trillions of bacteria, both good and bad. When you eat sugar, the bad bacteria feast on it. They multiply rapidly, crowding out the good bacteria that keep your gut lining strong. Without those good bacteria, your gut lining weakens. The tight junctions we talked about last time start breaking down. Toxins leak into your bloodstream, inflammation spreads through your body, and your energy, your mood, your sleep, your focus, all of it suffers. A 2019 study published in Cell found that high sugar diets significantly reduced gut microbiome diversity within just 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's how fast sugar can begin dismantling the bacterial ecosystem your body depends on. So here's the question nobody asks. If Yudkin was right in 1972, if the science was there, if the cover-up has now been confirmed, why is sugar still in everything? Why is it still in breakfast cereals? In bread? In pasta sauce? Because the food industry spent 50 years building an entire global food system around it, and changing that system would cost trillions. So instead, they changed the label. High fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltose, sucrose, fructose, glucose syrup. 56 different names for the same thing, hidden in plain sight. You can't trust the label, but you can trust your biology. Your body was designed to run on whole foods, complex carbohydrates that break down slowly, natural fats that keep you full, protein that stabilizes your blood sugar, and a gut microbiome rich enough to process everything efficiently. Start by eliminating the obvious ones: sugary drinks, packaged snacks, anything with more than 5 grams of added sugar per serving. Read ingredients, not calories. If sugar appears in the first 3 ingredients, put it back. Swap processed carbs for whole ones, white rice for brown, white bread for sourdough, cereal for eggs, and feed your gut bacteria what they actually need: fermented foods, fiber, and the kind of diverse nutrition that modern processed eating destroyed. Always speak to a qualified healthcare professional before making significant changes to your diet. Because here's the truth: the war on your gut started 50 years ago in a boardroom, not in your kitchen, and the way you fight back is by understanding exactly what they buried and choosing differently. John Yudkin died in 1995. Largely discredited, largely forgotten, but in the years since his death, every major prediction he made has been confirmed by independent research. He was right. They just made sure nobody listened. Until now. If this video changed how you see the food on your plate, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't watched our last video on gut health and chronic fatigue, it's right there, waiting for you. Because everything connects, and the deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. Stay close.